Hi everyone, I hope you're all staying safe and healthy. My name is Siv. I work for the Providence Community Library, currently located at my home. Today we will be doing or sewing some cloth face masks. So here are the materials that you will need to do so. You will need 2 pieces of 100% cotton cut into 9x6, 2 strips for your ear straps, 2 strips of flat elastic, preferably a 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch. I currently have the 3/8 of an inch, and they're cut into strips of 7 inches. So they're 7-inch long in length, and they're 3/8 inches in width. You'll need a pair of trimming scissors, regular pair of fabric scissors, and a sewing machine. However, if you do not have a sewing machine, it can be sewn by hand as well too. It takes a little longer, but it's just as easy to sew by hand. So this is what the result will look like. It's just a regular style, surgical style face mask, and this one actually has a reversible side. It's just one wall, so you know which one would be mostly on your face. So I have 2 different patterns on there, and then I have one. This one has actually 3 fold. This has 2 folds. Okay, and this one is often used in conjunction with the hospital filtered face mask, and it has 3 folds, 3 pleats, 1, 2, 3. But today we're just gonna do the 3 regular face masks for going out in public, shopping, essential shopping. Okay, so we're gonna start off with, what you're gonna do is you're going to place 2 of your strips. One side you're gonna put the right side up, and the other side you're gonna put it the wrong side up, so they'll face each other. 2 of the right sides will face each other. Notice I have 2 different patterns, so I can tell which one is against my face and which one is out. Or once you wash it and you need to use it again, you can definitely change whichever pattern you like. So I'm just gonna line it up. Again, it's 9x6. Take it over to my sewing machine. It's gonna be a straight stitch, and you want to put the 9 side first, and you're gonna bring it down to about, I want to say 1, 2, 3, about 4 inches down, because we're gonna leave a little gap so we can turn the fabric. All right, and for the seam allowance, you're gonna use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and we're gonna use a straight stitch. You're gonna sew it all the way down. You're gonna stop at about 2 inches. So I have, using my fingers, this is also a good guide to use for measurement, because 2 of your fingers will add up to about 1 inch. So this is about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. Okay, you can do 2 if you like, however you feel comfortable. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take one of the elastics, and you're gonna anchor it right down here, and we're gonna use about a 1/4 inch seam allowance for this side, and that's gonna be right at the top right there. Okay, and then we're just gonna sew over, and then we're gonna back stitch. Back stitch is just keeping it nice and secured, the stitch. And then we're gonna stop at about 1/4 inch. We're gonna turn our fabric around. We're going to make sure that once you continue that you're not sewing your elastic. So you want to make sure to check your needle that it's not on the elastic. So what I'm going to do is, I noticed that it is somewhat on there. So I'm going to just turn it back and make sure that it's away from the elastic. Just one more. There we go. Okay, and so now I know it's away from the elastic, and you could definitely just move it while you sew. Back stitch a little bit. again, it's about 1 to 1.5 inches. Now you're going to take the other end, making sure that it's straight and not twisted. And you're just going to anchor it right there. Like that. Okay. And you're just going to go ahead and finish your sewing. I'm going to backstitch a little bit. I was backstitch because that helps secure the stitch. Okay. Turn that. Pressing down on your tie to make sure that it's not in the way. I'm going to do the same thing to the other end. If you notice any threads hanging, I usually just trim as I go so they're not all over the place. Again, making sure it's not twisted. Okay, and remember the hole for the gap so that you could turn your fabric. You want to leave about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. Some people do 2. This is a pretty easy fabric to turn. It's not so thick. All right, that is done there. I just cut it. Okay, and I usually take my pair of scissors and just trim the corner, making sure you're not cutting the stitch just so that it's not bulking up in the corner. There we go. I'm going to take my small scissors, make sure that I trim all this stuff. It looks nice and trim. Okay, now the gap that we have here, I believe it's on, let me see where it's at. Sometimes it's just a little hard to look at, but it's right here. Okay, so now you're just going to go ahead and turn your mass. Okay, once you turn it, you're going to see it come out. Okay, and get rid of any threads hanging. So gently just pull the corners to make sure they're secured, and I like to trim as I go so nothing is hanging too much at the end. Okay, and this is the part where we left the opening, so you just want to make sure you press it in and make sure it's shut. All right. Just follow the seam that you have here, and what I like to do is I'm going to use my finger. This is called finger pressing, so this sort of to line up, keep the seams down to match up with the rest. You can certainly use an iron to do so. I'm just going to go ahead and use my finger and just gently press on the seams. Okay, there we go. Okay. So you're gonna have, you could choose any side to be the front or to the back because they're different, and this way you'll know which side you were against your face and which isn't. And after washing your after each use, you can pick whatever side you want to use. Maybe one day you want to see this little cute guy, and one day you want to see all the beautiful greens out there. Spring. Okay. So now we have this nice and straight and trim. We're going to start where we have the opening, and also making sure that every corner is nicely tucked. All right, so again on the long side, the 9 inch, you're going to start it right at the top, and you can do this, it's about 1/4 inch. Okay, I'm going to sew it shut. Straight. Remember, we're going to sew this around twice, so I'm just leaving a little room for that extra red. Okay, and I'm going to get to about maybe 1/2 inch. I'm going to turn this, okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and sew it down. Now this is really just to secure, oops, this is really just to secure your seams. You could skip this part and do it all after or during the pleats, but I like to just make sure. Oops. Okay, I'm going to turn to the other side. Okay. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to trim thread again. All right, oops, this one here, long thread. Okay, so these are all nice and flat. Now we're going to do the 3 pleats or the 3 tucks. You can also iron them as well, but since we're only doing 3, it's a lot easier to just pin them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure each pleat to be about 1 inch apart. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. So there you go. Okay, so eyeballing it, just fold it down and tuck. Okay, and you can adjust to make sure if it's straight, because you're going to just pin it. All right, so got that. I'm just going to use my fingers through the press. And we're just going to take our pin. Okay, it's nice and straight. Go ahead and just pin that in. I just want to make sure it's nice and straight. So it's about 1 inch. See? The pin. Okay. Now the only thing you have to really look at is that the tuck is going the same direction. So this is folding it down. If you're doing it up, it has to go up the next tuck over. There we go. And again, I'm just going to finger press this side. Tuck that in. Other one. Make sure it's about 1 inch. Okay. Right, so you have the tucks going down, same direction. Now we're going to sew the tucks in. I'm going to start up about 1/4 inch. And you can sew it right on top of the previous stitch, so that gives you a guidance as well too. If you're a little off, fine. You can do 2 lines. I usually go slow because I don't want to sew over the pin. Okay, and just back stitch a little bit to secure that. Okay. Right, so I'm going to turn it, and you want to make sure that the needle is on the same stitch that you did. If it's not aligned, you can definitely hit 1 more stitch and you can see it. And sometimes if it's not, you could definitely do two stitches next to each other, but I like to reinforce it by doing it right on top of each other. And I like to just back stitch a little bit, pretty back stitch. Going right on top of the other stitch. Slow down a little bit till you get to your stitch. Perfect. Turn it. See, it comes right on there. So sewing the stitch first from the beginning keeps everything lined up. And you would have already done your second stitch around. Pin down. Okay. So this is going to be the second one. Back stitch. Okay. And trim. And so here you have it, your surgical cloth face mask, and open it up. So one day you want to put this little guy out, or you could have it nice and springy on the other side. Well, thank you for joining me. I hope this is helpful to you, and perhaps you could start one yourself. Join me again next time on Sewing with Ziv.